Hello to all of my season 17 sisters, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be answering the question, how would I judge RuPaul's Drag Race season 17? I'm sorry this video is coming out a bit later than it should. I've been super busy with grad school stuff and finals, and the only chance I'm getting to film this video is literally like at midnight, and I have work at 9 in the morning. Yay! But I'm making sure it's gonna come out for y'all because it's gotta. We have. It's season 17 of RuPaul's Drag Race. This is it. This is the thing. The rules to remember, as always, are the season has to be as long as season 17 originally was, which is 16 episodes, 14 competitive episodes, the lip sync SmackDown, and then the finale. And the performances and the challenges need to be based off of how well someone did or how people would predict they would do. So I'm not just going to put somebody in the top when they were originally in the bottom, or vice versa, unless there's strong fan support for that being the case. The goal, as always, is to act as if I'm the head judge and craft this season however I can imagine to make it as fun and eventful as possible, while also being fair with my judging of the season by combining my own personal taste and what was shown to us on the show. Before we go any further, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy yourself in this video. I would really greatly appreciate it. Now, let us get into it. Alright, so for the first two episodes, we have the same things going on as they did originally, because we have the split premiere talent shows with the the top two and like the bottom person getting to lip sync against the other bottom person in episode 2. We're going to keep all of that the same because I do think it is really interesting. I do like the format. This is a deep cut for all those who remember this. Back in the day, I had the Sims series on this channel called Drag This Game Show, which is, a drag competition show in The Sims, where I did a split premiere situation very similar to this one. And this was like 4 years ago, where I had like a normal split premiere where the bottom two were eliminated, or on the chopping block, I guess is kind of the way to say, where there were a single person from each episode who was like technically eliminated, but then one of them immediately got to re-enter the competition. It was kind of similar to this, but I just wanted to bring that up to say I do really like this twist. I think it works pretty well, and so I'm going to keep it the same. And due to them, still being the same and everything, and us having the Rada Queen happen, all of the placements for episodes 1 and 2 are going to be exactly the same. Though, if I was judging this individually, like Susie 2 would still be in the top 2 this episode, and honestly, Jules might also still be the top 2. It's definitely split between Jules and Lucky for me of like who else is in that top 2. But I do think the Queens judged this episode pretty fairly. And Acacia being at the bottom is I don't know if she should be the worst. I think Joella was probably the worst in this episode for me. But I would say Acacia was probably my second least favorite. So I think I don't think it was that totally unfair. And in episode 2, I also pretty much agree with all of this. Hormona's was my least favorite. Lexi's was for sure my favorite. And then Crystal, I feel like was a very good second place. Honestly, people like Corey got like 6th place in the ranking, which is crazy to me because Corey was like my 3rd favorite. I think my order probably after them would be like Corey, Anya, Lana, Sam, Hormona. I think that's my order. But yeah, I really think the queens rated this very fairly as well, and I think both of the lip syncs were judged very fairly. I do think Susie and Lexi won their respective lip syncs. Susie winning against Jules to Woman's World by Katy Perry, and Lexi winning against Crystal to Alter Ego by Doechii featuring JT. So in the bottom 2 lip sync between Acacia and Hormona, they're going to lip sync to Yes and by Ariana Grande, and I do think Acacia winning is the correct choice here, which does mean that Hormona gets to pull the lever on the Badunkadunk tank and gets saved, and we move on to episode 3 with everybody still intact. In episode 3, we had ourselves the design challenge, where they had to create a monopulence looks, their Monopoly kind of inspired opulence looks with their respective colors and everything. And I judged this episode exactly the same as it was originally. Sam winning makes total sense to me. I loved Sam's look. I think it was really, really good. And Ariadne and Anya also fucking killed this challenge. I feel like the tops were super fair and everything. And I think the bottoms were very fair as well. Joella had the most basic outfit of the bunch. Corey's was just after that, but well, it was basic. It was put together, and Corey like looked good. And Lucky's outfit sadly was just it did not flatter her. And I think the choice to do uh like an actual like skin color for her face to like do like her skin tone instead of what is kind of more associated with Lucky and doing like in her promo look she's literally blue and other stuff. I think if she were to like lean into it and just be like, yeah, I'm an orange thing, I think it would have been better. But she did not, and so I do think the bottom two of Joella and Lucky is pretty fair. And also, everybody was safe. I think it makes complete sense. Acacia, Crystal, Harmona, Jules, Lana, Lexi, Lydia, and Susie are all safe. And the lip sync song is going to be The Way That You Love Me by Paula Abdul. And Joella definitely did win this lip sync against Lucky. I think Joella, was more consistent throughout the performance for sure. So sadly, Lucky is still going to be the first contestant to leave, and we're going to move on to episode 4. In episode 4, we had ourselves the Bitch I'm a Drag Queen challenge, where they had to create songs out of iconic drag race moments, and I fucking loved this challenge. This honestly was my favorite challenge of the whole season. This is a style of challenge I've been wanting back for so long. In my my ideal Drag Race All Stars video I did, I mentioned that I would love to see a challenge of like lip syncing to Untucked moments again, a la the one in season 5, and this is very much like in that wheelhouse. They're just singing them uh, instead of like trying to be like accurate lip syncing to them. But I fucking love this challenge. It's so good. And I thought it was judged very fairly. Anya killed this challenge. I had so much fun watching Anya. When I was watching this live, I was getting my whole life. I was so happy for her because I'd grown to love her throughout the first couple of episodes, and I was just like, oh, okay, Anya's winning this challenge. She's gotta. And Crystal and Susie both originally placed high, both gonna stay high. I completely agree with their placements. Crystal's rendition of Good God, Get a Grip Girl, and Susie's You're Perfect, You're Beautiful were both so well done. I adored those performances so much. One that is actually I think really good but doesn't stick, like it like sticks in my brain but I don't think sticks in the brains of like a lot of other people, was Acacia and Sam's the arrogant speech, like the star quality. I fucking adored that one, but I don't think like anybody else cares about it besides me. But I just want to say I really like it. And the bottoms, I think, make complete sense. Ariadne was definitely kind of the second fiddle to Jules in their duo scene, while all the other duo scenes for Acacia and Sam's, and Lydia and Lana's, they were definitely much more like a pair, and it felt that they had. I felt like in those scenes, the pairs definitely were more equal in their performance levels, where it was very clear that Jules was doing better than Ariadne. And then Joella and Corey's just really did not. They weren't as funny, sadly. So I do think this judging all makes complete sense. And Joella and Corey are going to lip sync to Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls. And Corey definitely wins this lip sync. Fuck, it really kills this lip sync, honestly. I think takes off a few too much clothes, but definitely does better in this lip sync than Joella, and this is also Joella's second time in the bottom in a row. So sadly, Joella is gonna go home here, and we're gonna move on to episode 5. In episode 5, we had ourselves the RDR live challenge, and this is the first challenge where I've actually changed Placement's a smidge, but not really. Really just switched out a safe and a high. Susie Toot originally won this challenge, and I completely agree with that. She killed her scene playing Rue's old babysitter. I loved it. Really had a committed, solid character, and really showed that like she has the improv skills. And I really, really enjoyed it. Really liked it. And Anya Nerve was high originally, is going to stay high. I think Anya did a super duper good job in this challenge. She was definitely the best in her scene. And originally, Ramona was high for being the highlight of the what is it like the Beaver podcast sketch. And I definitely do think she was the best in her sketch. But looking at Acacia and Lydia's sketch, I was I loved Acacia's performance in this so much. Acacia really, I think, like obviously like understands Golden Girls and has the kind of ability to do this kind of Blanche persona pretty down. I think what was the comment I saw? I did see a comment that said that Blanche there was a couple things that Blanche would have done differently that I remember seeing and I was like, you know what? That is actually correct. But regardless, I still think that Acacia did a really good job in this challenge and did not get her flowers for it. And I feel like she deserves her flowers for this. So Acacia is going to be high for this challenge. All of our safes who were originally safe are still safe except for Ramona, Crystal, Corey, Lana, Jules, and Lexi, all safe. And our bottoms are all exactly the same. Samstar is going to stay low for her performance. And Lydia and Ariete, I definitely think, did the worst in the challenge this week. So they are the bottom two, and they do lip sync to Boogie Wonderland by Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I think the same result happens as it did originally. Lydia is going to beat Ariete in the lip sync. And Ariete is going to choose the correct lever and is going to stay. So we are going to have both of our Badunkadunk tank levers used at the same time as they were originally. No shenanigans with that. I'm glad that this is organically what I came to, because it would have been a real pain in the ass if for whatever reason I was like Ariete didn't deserve to be in the bottom, because then like who the fuck, what levers would people have chosen? That's such like a that opens such a big can of worms, and I'm so glad that Ariete did so bad in this challenge. That's so mean. But you know what I mean. Anyways, let's move on to episode 6. All right, in episode 6, we have ourselves the ball challenge. And I do change a couple of things in this challenge that I know some people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? The first one that I change, which I don't think is that big of a controversy, is originally Acacia was low, and Lana and Hormona were the bottom two for the episode. But I decided to switch it up. I do think Lana Geray did better than they gave her credit for, but I do still think that she was my third least favorite of the night, and that Acacia should have been in the bottom two. Just basing it off all the looks and the way that I kind of score balls, which is a controversial way to score them. What I simply do is I rank every single look in the category, like in each individual category, and like add up like the placements of those, and they're all worth the same weight. So I do not weight the final look more than I weight the other two looks, because like while it is made in the workroom, so like it is something that you actually get to see during the episode, like creation and everything. I think like I think weighting it higher is just kind of like it's just not entirely fair. Like I feel like if you're a solid good drag queen, all of the looks should be good. So why are we weighting one more than the others? I don't like to do it. It doesn't feel right to me. So look, ranking all the looks in this ball, this is the way that I've come to think of these looks and have decided to rank them all. So, the bottom section, I don't think that's that crazy. I don't think anybody's going to be like, no, Acacia should never have been in the bottom. I feel like people are going to be like, oh yeah, I could see it. The tops, though, I think people are going to be weird about. Uh, Ariete did win this challenge originally. She's still going to win. I completely agree. Ariete slayed this. Crystal Envy was originally high. She's going to stay there. And Corey King is my other top for this challenge. And I I could have sworn I saw comments being like, yeah, Corey could have been in the bottom of this episode. I'm like, I don't agree. I really liked Corey's looks this episode. Let me see if I can find my notes on this episode really quick. Okay, so I just looked and checked my rankings, and these were all done immediately after the episode, by the way. I think I actually did these while watching the episode. I ranked them while it was happening live. So this was where my headspace was in this moment in time. Uh, I had ranked, none of her looks I'd ranked at the top of their categories, but every single look was in the top half of its category. Even her final look, her sea-sickening eleganza one, so many people compare that to Vanity Milan's look, which, like, they're similar because they have, like, orange, like, they're both orange kind of ropes with blue detailing. Yes, I see that. But also, Corey's is, like, literally made to fit her body and actually, like, has structure. And it's not just, like, glued to a corset. And doesn't have literal pieces falling off, like Vanity's did. Like, you see the difference between the two, right? One of them is, like, the actually good version of the look. And I still really liked it. I think she did super well with an unconventional material. And I really appreciate it. But regardless, I'll stop defending her for now. um, Jules, Lexi, Lydia, Anya, Sam, and Susie are all safe. And the bottom two of Acacia and Hormona are going to lip sync to Get Him Back by Olivia Rodrigo. And I do think, I was going to say Orcacia. I think I was mixing up Hormona's and Acacia's name and ended up on Ornacia. I love that. I do think Acacia would win this lip sync. I do think this would be an interesting lip sync, considering that it is a rematch of the lip sync that happens in episode 2. And I think that'd be an interesting part of the storyline for these two to face each other again and be like, okay, they're back in the bottom two. Who's gonna officially send the other one home? And I do think Acacia would end up doing that. So it's sad to say Hormona Lisa is gonna go here. And we're gonna move on to episode 7. Now this is gonna be a little controversial as well, because we're doing the Snatch game. And I thought this challenge was judged so fucking weirdly when it happened. So the Snatch game, the way that this was judged originally, Anya Nerve won, which I don't disagree with. Anya was easily my second favorite, and I was considering actually having Anya win this challenge, but I decided against it. But Anya originally won this challenge. Sam, Jules, and Lexi were all high. Ariete was low, and Lana and Crystal were the bottom two. Now, I disagree with this on so many levels. I did not understand this judging. It did not make any sense to me. Okay, so let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the tops first. Anya's Eddie Murphy was super duper good. I loved it. I think it was a stellar Eddie Murphy impression. I think Jules was funnier though. I laughed more actively at Jules than I did at Anya. And like Snatch Game, it is an impersonation challenge, but it's more so a comedy challenge. And Jules made me laugh more than Anya did. So I felt it was only fair in my brain to give the win to Jules. And Sam was originally high for her impression of Kim Gravel. I completely see it. I completely good with her being high. She was solidly like the third best in my opinion. Now, Lexi Love was also originally high, but she flopped so hard, and I was truly like very close to putting her in the bottom two, with Ariete. But I decided against it because I do think that while she really barely, really honestly, really not at all fit the brief of the challenge, she was funny. Which is more to be said for Lana and Ariadne, who I also don't really think fit the brief of Snatch Game and were less funny. So, Lexi Love is a solid low for me, and I also decided to have Crystal Envy as low as well. Crystal was originally in the bottom two, but I think her Nicole Richie impression was actually pretty damn okay. I was about to say solid, but I was like, that's too much praise. I think it was okay. Like, it definitely, I saw it and I was definitely like, oh yeah, this is a Nicole Richie impression. Like, was there like really good jokes? Not really, but she came to Snatch Game with an actual impression prepared, which is more than can be said for like literally pretty much anybody else but like the people in the top and her and like Big Ange for Corey King. Like those were like the only impressions that actually happened today. So even though it was not funny, uh, I respect that she actually had something, and so I think I decided to add an extra low placement for this episode because they added an extra high placement for the episode originally. And I thought that was bullshit, so I kind of retaliated by doing two lows. But I do think that is the way I feel. Lana Jarre was originally in the bottom for her impression of Rosa Parks, which I completely agree with. She literally had a single joke prepared and then had nothing else, and like that's just kind of like unforgivable to me. Like it annoys me that she really didn't prepare for Snatch Game. And same with Arietti, fucking her baby Cupid, just like, oh, I'm a baby, and that's the joke. You have to be prepared with more than one joke. There are some challenges on Drag Race where people do go in there with one joke, and RuPaul loves the joke, and then they can coast off the joke, like Scarlet Harlot for Snatch Game on UK season 3, doing the Macaulay Culkin scream hands to the face thing. Uh, like like that is a joke that worked and worked in the workroom, so she leaned on it. Which was it that funny to me? No, but it was a smart decision for her. I totally get why she chose to do it. But you also, like, if you're leaning on a joke and RuPaul doesn't find it funny, you obviously got to change it up. Like, if you, like, I understand going into Snatch Game having, like, a thing like, oh, I'm the baby, and hoping she laughs at that prepared. Because if she does laugh at it, solid. But you got to be prepared for if she doesn't laugh at it. And Ariadne obviously wasn't prepared for that scenario. And so I was really just disappointed by Lana's and Ariadne's Snatch Game so much. They really did not provide anything to me. Even though Ariadne did have an amazing runway, but that is not going to save her for me. And so Lana and Ariadne are the bottom two, and I do think this bottom two is also very interesting storyline wise because we've seen throughout the first episode and up till now that Lana and Ariadne are kind of a bit of a duo, and so for them to land in the bottom two together is definitely going to cause some drama. They're going to lip sync to Hands to Myself by Selena Gomez, and I definitely think Lana would win this lip sync. Ariadne does have like a better track record up to this point, has a win under her belt, but looking at their like PPE scores up to this point, I think Ariadne literally has 1 point more than Lana. So uh, it is never. I think Lana would win this lip sync pretty handily, and I don't think track record should really matter in this scenario. Uh, Especially when Ariadne's been kind of bombing all the challenges that are not design related up to this point. Where Lana has actually shown like she can be good at a decent variety of things. She was safe for comedy challenges and design challenges and stuff. So Lana is going to win the lip sync for me, and Ariadne is going to go home. Which, looking back in hindsight, after I'd made this decision and seeing what happens in the roast episode where Ariadne steals the jokes and everything and has this kind of big fall from grace. Obviously, that's more entertaining TV than it being this happening. And I kind of wish I did it like that, but I already made the decision to not. So we're just going to have to let that be and move on to episode 8. Episode 8, we have The Wicked Wiz of Oz, the Rusical, where they're doing a Rusical parodying Wicked, and really just kind of the Wizard of Oz as a whole franchise, really. I pretty much judged this episode the same as it was judged originally, except for one key difference. I have Anya Nerve winning over Sam Starr. Originally, Sam won the challenge, and Anya, Jules, and Susie were all high. I do think having this challenge be a top 4 and a bottom 2 is pretty correct because everybody did a pretty good job in this challenge overall. So adding an extra high placement and cutting the low, I do think is a good choice on production's part, and I decided to keep it that way as well. But Anya was clearly my favorite of this challenge. I still think of her verse to this day randomly. It pops in my head. I'm literally was playing in my head right now. It's so amazing. She performs so well and is so captivating as a performer. I adored this. I want to see Anya in a musical production like yesterday, please. Um, but yeah, Anya really won this challenge for me. Sam did not do bad by any means, but she just didn't grip me as much as Anya did. And honestly, as much as Susie did either. Sam was, I think, my third favorite in this challenge. We also do have Crystal in this challenge where she was not originally. Instead, it was Arietti. Crystal would, if we're just subbing out people, Arietti would get Arietti's role, which was the Scarecrow, which I do think is a potential role that Crystal could get. So we're just gonna kind of shoehorn her in there. And I do think if Crystal, really in most any role in this musical, would do a pretty solid job, but I wouldn't expect her to do as well as the people who are in the top because I think the people in the top all did a really good job. So I think safe is probably the most likely placement for her to land at. So yeah, Crystal, Lana, Lexi, and Lydia all safe. Completely agree with that. And the original bottom two of Corey King and Acacia Forgot are going to stay the same. I do think they did the worst of the challenge this week. They're going to be lip syncing to Wet Dream by Adam Lambert. And Corey definitely did win this lip sync, I would say. Really had some really fucking good moves. I loved it. Corey is going to stay and Acacia's going to go. And we're going to move on to episode 9. In episode 9, we have ourselves the Betsy Johnson Design Challenge. I also loved this episode of the season. This episode was so fun. I really enjoyed myself when I was watching it. I just love Betsy Johnson's designs. She's so iconic to me. But originally in this episode, we had Arietti instead of Crystal Envy. Assuming we're just subbing people out, Crystal Envy would be doing the prenup collection, which is, I think, a potential place for Crystal to land. But I honestly think, regardless of the prompts that people get, I think it would really all end up about the same. And Crystal would just end up taking Ariadne's place for this theoretical scenario. Originally, Jules won the challenge, and Lexi and Arietti were high. I do think Crystal being in this challenge, I think Crystal very easily could be high, and I think most likely would be high. So Crystal is going to be placed high in this challenge, but I did like Lexi's look more than I liked Jules, and this was a super hard decision for me. I was very close to giving them both a win for this episode, but I decided to just give it to Lexi. Lexi's wedding look, I think, was so fucking glamorous. And it was one of those things where when she walked out, I was just like, oh my god, I love this look. And I also love Jules' look, but it did not give me that same visceral reaction that Lexi's did. So I think Lexi would definitely be the winner for me in this challenge. Our safes of Lana, Sam, and Susie are going to stay the same as they were originally. And our bottoms are going to stay the same. Anya is going to be low, and the bottom two of Lydia and Corey are going to stay the same. I do think that is all very fair. They're going to be lip syncing to Kiss Me Deadly by Lita Ford. And Lydia, I do think it wins this lip sync against Corey. And also, this is Corey's third time at the bottom. It's Lydia's second. It just makes sense. So sadly, Corey is going to go here. We're going to lose our showmance. And I do think I really hope Corey and Lydia stay together forever. I love their fucking showmance so much. I love that they're together. It's so cute to me. And we're going to move on to episode 10. All right, in this episode, we have ourselves the Villains Roast. And in this challenge, we have Crystal instead of Ariadne. And so the question is, how does Crystal perform in the roast? And I have a feeling that it's not going to be that good. I just do not get the vibe that Crystal would excel in this challenge. It is a challenge where you have to write your own jokes, very similar to Snatch Game, and so I would assume that she would not do particularly well in this challenge. Obviously, there are some people who did well in the Snatch Game, like Jules, who did not do particularly well in this challenge. But I do still think that Crystal probably would be one of the worst in this challenge. Looking at the placements originally Lydia won, and Lana and Sam were high. Anya and Susie were safe. Lexi was low, and then Jules and Arietti were in the bottom two. Now, looking at our tops, I completely agree with Lydia winning the challenge. She was for sure my favorite. I think really killed this. And Lana was super clearly high. I loved Lana's performance as well. Now, Sam was originally high for this challenge, which I did not fully understand. Because while Sam obviously did good, I think Susie's jokes were funnier. And also, like, it was one of those things where, like, we barely saw Sam or Susie's performance. Like, they were both cut super short, but even with the super short cut of both of them, I still preferred Susie's. Like, Sam just had one really good joke, where I think Susie had pretty like less worse jokes than the heart disease joke, but still very solid jokes all the way around. And so Susie was my clear third. And I feel like my judging makes it seem like I don't like Sam. I do like Sam. I just think she was overhyped a little bit by the judges this season. And we're gonna get to that later as well, where I do think she was. There's at least one more instance where I definitely think she was overhyped. I'm sorry. I don't. I swear I like Sam. But anyways, Anya and Sam are gonna be safe. And now the question we also ask ourselves with this is because Arietti is not in this episode, she does not steal Jules's jokes. So the question is, does Jules do better with her jokes not being stolen? And the answer, I think, is yes, a little bit. I think with those jokes not being stolen, Jules is less in her head during her own performance and probably stumbles on her words less and just generally performs better. But I also think that the jokes that she was going to use were not particularly funny. Like, I think they were fine. And so I get the vibe that Jules would have given a performance of like a similar quality to like Olivia Lux's in her roast, where like there are successful jokes sprinkled throughout, but the energy doesn't quite hit. And there are some jokes that are just like, all right, you know? So I think Jules being low feels like the most likely scenario. And with Jules doing better, I think Lexi would end up doing worse. And then again, I think Crystal probably would be the bottom two. So Lexi, Love, and Crystal Envy are going to be the bottom two this episode, and they're going to lip sync to Ya Ya by Beyonce. And I think this would be a very interesting lip sync between the two. This kind my rejudging ended up being kind of centralized by like bottom two lip syncs that mean something. And this is one where the top two from episode two lip sync against each other to see who goes home, which I think would be very interesting to have a rematch lip sync between Lexi and Crystal to see like who succeeds on a rematch. And I do think Lexi definitely benefits from this song and would probably do better than Crystal. So I think Lexi would win this lip sync, and sadly Crystal would go home. And we're going to move on to episode 11. In episode 11, we have the acting challenge of Ross Matthews versus the Ducks, which I think was an interesting challenge. I did enjoy it. Originally, Anya Nerve won the challenge, and she's still going to win the challenge. I completely agree with her winning the challenge. She really had the best energy of the episode by far. And Sam, Susie, and Lexi were all high originally, which this was a challenge where I understand them just deciding to split like 4 highs and 3 bottoms because of the way that people did in the challenge. I get it, but when I was watching it, had a very clear like thought of, oh, these are my top three and these are my bottom three, and this person's dead in the middle. And so I decided to judge it how I usually judge a Final Seven episode with three tops, 3 bottoms, and 1 save. So I do think Lexi did the worst out of the 4 previously mentioned, Anya, Sam, Susie, and Lexi. But again, I don't think Lexi did bad at all. She was just my very clear fourth. So Lexi is going to be safe for this challenge. And Sam and Susie, I think, both did really well, and they're going to retain their high placements. And so the bottoms, originally Jules was low and Lana and Lydia were the bottom two, but I disagree with that. I think Lana did a much better job than the judges gave her credit for in this episode. Granted, she's still low, but I do think she did a much better job than they gave her credit for, and I think Jules did a worse job than they gave her credit for, and they judged Lydia pretty fairly. So, I think Lana's character, Drippy Q, was actually done pretty damn well, all things considered. Uh, and so, like, her being in the bottom two just didn't really make sense to me. So the new bottom two are going to be Jules and Lydia, and they're going to lip sync to Unholy by Sam Smith. And sadly, I mean, even if she didn't do this, she would still go home. But sadly, Lydia pulls out that pair of scissors and spends half the song taking off her skirt. And it's like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that, Lydia? Nobody asked you for that. Uh, so sadly, Lydia does go home here, and Jules gets to stay. But I fucking love Lydia. I've loved Lydia since before I knew she was on All Stars. I'm saying that. I'm saying that. I'm not gonna tell people to skip it. Because I feel like that's probably gonna come out already by the time. It's the worst kept secret. Also, generally, if you don't know, I'm shocked. But I feel like the cast is already gonna be out by the time that this episode comes out. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that. But I've loved Lydia since the moment I saw her. I love her aesthetic. She's so kind to me. And sadly, she does go home here, and we're going to move on to episode 12. For the first episode in a long, long time, we have a very, very boring turn of events, and I judged it exactly the same as it was originally. In this episode, we have the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent monologues, where they have to, uh, write their story while their partner does an interpretive dance. And it's such a fun challenge. I had a lot of fun watching this episode as well. I think they did super well in this challenge. Like, honestly, everybody I think did a pretty good job. Uh, but this challenge was judged in pairs, and I completely agree. It's staying judged in pairs. And I think Lexi and Anya were definitely the best pair together. So they're both going to get the win here. And Jules and Susie, I definitely think we're the second best, so they're both going to be safe. And then Sam and Lana were the worst pair, so they are going to be the bottom two. And they're going to lip sync to Illusion by Dua Lipa. And I do think this is actually a really close lip sync. When I watched this originally, my immediate thought when watching this live was, oh god, that was close. They're probably gonna save Sam. And then that's what happened. And so that's what I ended up doing as well. I struggle to say whether I think Sam or Alana did better in this lip sync. And that's it's kind of one of those results where I feel like if I gave an answer, the next day I'd be like, actually no. And then the next day I'd be like, no, I was right the first time. So I don't know. It's a weird one. They were both super close. But just looking at the season so far, Sam has a win, has many highs, first bottom two. This is Lana's. Lana has no wins. This is her third bottom two, I think, at this point. Actually, it might be her second in my rejudging. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. No, yeah, this is actually only your second bottom two in my rejudging, but regardless, I do think that Sam deserves to stay and Lana deserves to go in this scenario. So that is what's going to happen. And we're going to move on to episode 13. Now, I judged this episode the same as it was judged originally, with a really very slight change. In this episode, we had the makeover, where the contestants had to make over one of their parents, which I love this episode as well. This was so wonderful. To see these parents so involved. It's so nice. And I'm so happy for them that they got to like have this experience. And so in this challenge, originally Sam won, which I completely agree. Sam killed this challenge. Her makeover of her mom was so wonderful. It was like gaudy country in like a perfect way. And Susie was originally high, is gonna stay high. I loved Susie's performance in this as well. It was so, so, so good. And like I really loved this look. And originally Lexi was low, but I don't understand why she's technically low. She did really good. I considered a high placement. I settled on safe because that's what I tend to do for final 5 episodes is 2 tops, 2 bottoms, and 1 safe. But, like, I was like, Lexi could very well have shared a high placement with, Sam with, not Sam, with Susie here. Um, 'Cause I really think her look, with her mom was super good. And sadly, it was pretty clear that Jules and Anya were the bottom 2 here. And they're gonna lip sync to One Thing by Amory. And this was a double chante originally, and I decided to keep that the same because it's really one of those things where we're down to like the nitty gritty, and they both had done super well in the competition up to this point. And with a lip sync performance as close as that, I think in terms of quality, it's a hard one to judge. And I feel like also the reason I wanted to keep it a double save here was that means that in the next episode, episode 14, that we'd either have to cut it to a top 3, or if you wanted to maintain a top 4, you'd have to have a double save there as well. And when I originally chose to keep it the double save, I was not confident on what was going to be happening next. And I think in a scenario like this, if you're the producers and if you're RuPaul and you're like, yeah, they both did really good. They both have done really good in this competition so far. Well, let's just postpone the top 4 till the next episode. I think that's probably the best case scenario. That's what I probably would have done as well. So they're both going to be saved, and we're going to move on to episode 14. In this episode, we do have a slight change of placements, but not really a big change of placements. I also just hated this episode. Not because Susie went home originally, and I fucking love Susie too, and I'll talk about her in just a minute. I'm gonna gush over the queens I love and the storylines I loved and everything in just a minute. But uh, I did not like this episode, but not because I love Susie too, but because I feel like the challenge was weird. And like I understand it's kind of like a play and like a continuation of last season's challenge for like the book covers and everything, but it's such a weird challenge to judge. Like I wish that the formatting of it made more sense. Because it just kind of feels like a bunch of random shit, and they choose as like in the judging to hyper focus on whatever stuff they want to in order to get the result they want. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't feel good to me. But I pretty much agreed with what happened here. I think Jules winning makes complete sense. Anya high set makes sense. Lexi also technically placed high in this challenge, but I kept her safe as well here. And the bottom 2 were Sam and Susie, which I don't really like, because I think they tore Susie a new one for no good reason. But again, I don't think Susie did that great in the challenge anyway. But also like it's I hate this challenge. They lip sync to Love Child by Diana Ross and the Supremes. I do think that Susie won this lip sync for sure. People kept saying online like, "Oh, she lost when she took that gown off." Or like the bigger part of her dress off and everything. And I'm just like, that's actually I think when she won the lip sync. I this might just be a me thing, but like this was a lip sync where it's obviously a song where the goal, if you're doing it right, is to feel the music and show that through your face and through your mouth. And I don't think either of them were particularly uh, serving that. Uh, so I think the only person to really do anything exciting during the lip sync was Susie's reveal. And there's so many people I feel like online that were like, "Oh, you can't do a reveal to this lip sync because like that you just sunk yourself because you did a reveal to this Diana Ross song." I'm like, that feels bullshit to me. I don't like that. Like I think she killed it still. Uh, like I think she definitely did better than Sam here still, and has a much better track record than Sam does in my judging. So our top 4 is going to change at the very last hurdle. Sam Star is going to be eliminated, and Susie 2 will be joining Jules, Anya, and Lexi in the top 4. Now, to gush over this season a bit, there were some complications with this season. I do think, sadly, this episode kind of killed the momentum of the end of the season. as well as there not being a audience for the Lollapalooza in the next episode, and no, bigger stage for the finale. I think the last 3 episodes kind of petered out the season, sadly. But I think the actual full season of television, up till episode 14, was really damn good. I really liked this season. I like this cast a lot. They were really kind of all down to clown and down to, you know, they were more willing to kind of get nasty with each other, which I enjoyed. And I really like the way that the season was edited, because we really didn't have anybody in particular come across as like, oh, this person's like the best person, you know? Like usually there's somebody who's kind of edited to be like a hero, has no bad moments or anything, but like everybody on the season, yeah, pretty literally like everybody on the season has like a bad moment, which is nice. I feel like they edited everybody very realistically to as like they are, but obviously edited in a way to make it, good TV still. And I really appreciate that. And go gushing over certain queens, Susie and Anya own my whole ass. I love them both so much. I literally dream of a day for the podcast where we get a Toot and Nerve podcast. I would gag for that. Susie is somebody who I've loved since the moment I saw her, and I'm so glad she did so well on this season. I'm so glad that she uh proved me right, really. That like I saw her, and the moment I saw her I was like, this girl is something. And then she proved that she was something. Same for Lexi. The moment I saw Lexi, I was like, this diva's got it, and she had it. And going over my preseason predictions on the top four, I only got one right, and that was Lexi Love. But I did get Susie. I said Susie would make the top four. She was fifth, and Lana I said would make the top four, and she was sixth. So I did. I don't think I did that bad. Not we're not mentioning Hormona in 12th, but 3 out of my 4 were in the top 6. So I think I did pretty good with that. And just besides Susie and Anya, Lexi, I also really love. I really, really love Lydia. And I like everybody, but like if I had to choose a four, those are my four divas right there. Susie, Anya, Lexi, and Lydia. I love them all so much. Okay, so in this next episode, we have our lip sync Lollapalooza SmackDown. This is obviously going to run a little bit differently since the winner of the Lollapalooza is not participating, because originally Susie won and she's not here anymore. So this does change a little bit now that we have Sam Starr in place. So going through this, the first lip sync between Lydia and Hormona will stay the same. Hormona is going to choose to do Liza with the Z, and then Lydia will get chosen, and then Lydia will win the lip sync, moving her on to round 2. In the next round, Joella does get picked, and is going to choose her song as well, and is going to choose Training Season. Since Sam has taken Susie's place in the Lollapalooza, it stands to reason that Sam's ball would be drawn over Susie's, in whatever scenarios that Susie's ball got drawn in. So Sam would be chosen and would go against Joella to Training Season, and I do think that Sam would probably win the lip sync. So Sam is going to move on to round 2 here. Then in the next round, Lucky gets chosen. She chooses to do Step by Step. Then Acacia gets chosen to go against her. And this lip sync is so fucking good. I love this lip sync. I would love a scenario where they both get to move on from this, because Acacia really killed it, and the fact that I do think she lost, but Acacia, I think with that lip sync performance, probably deserved to to do more for this episode. I really do think that. But Lucky is gonna win and move on. Arietti gets chosen. Next, she chooses Blow Me One Last Kiss by Pink. Corey gets chosen to go against her. And I do think that Corey still wins this lip sync. Then the final two of Crystal and Lana. Our left, Lana gets chosen. She chooses You Make Me Feel Mighty Real by Sylvester, and Lana wins the lip sync still. So we move on to our second round of 5 with Lydia, Sam, Lucky, Corey, and Lana. In round 6, Lucky's ball gets chosen again. She chooses To Be Found Love by Rihanna. And then Sam in Susie's spot gets chosen. So Sam and Lucky go against each other to the song. And I do think Lucky probably wins this lip sync. I do think this song is more in Lucky's wheelhouse. And I do think that I have a feeling that Sam, like, I have a feeling that they both would perform similarly to the song as they would have performed to their original songs. As we saw with Lucky, she did similar performances to both of the songs. But I have a feeling that she would still do better than Sam here. So Lucky would make it to the top 2 lip sync. And we would have the same scenarios we had originally, with Lana, Corey, and Lydia going against each other to 360 by Charlie XCX. And I do think Corey won that lip sync. She did not stop moving for a single second. She gave the energy of somebody in the club doing 360, and I loved it. So the top 2 of this Lollapalooza are going to be Corey and Lucky. And congrats to Lucky on making this top 2, especially after being the first out of the season. They're going to lip sync to Apata, APT, by Rose and Bruno Mars. And I do think that Corey would win this lip sync. She has the reveal that I think is really good. And I think she brings new energy to the lip sync that's really nice. And I just generally feel that she would do better than Lucky. So Corey is going to win that 50K in this scenario. Congrats to Corey. And I think this would be nice because Corey was somebody who really, while she did not perform particularly well in the challenges, was definitely a star throughout this season. And I think is somebody who would be nice to see, get a win like this in this scenario. So good for her. Alrighty, in the finale, they're each gonna walk the runway and do individual performances, and we're gonna cut to a top 2. Looking at the track records for this season, Anya and Susie had the best track records going into the finale. And looking at the performances, Jules was probably my favorite out of the ones we saw originally. Uh, and then honestly, Lexi's and Anya's were both very similarly ranked in my opinion. I struggle to like solidly decide on which one I thought was better. Susie, I think, could do better than all of them. I think she could do worse than all of them. It's really hit or miss for me. But for me deciding this top 2, I think it's important to look at Susie and Anya did the best this season. And in my personal opinion, if I'm thinking of like who are the stars of season 17 of RuPaul's Drag Race, I think of Anya and Susie as like the stars of the season. Like there are obviously other people, like Lexi and Jules were there the whole damn time. Sam was too. Corey has had so much online support, so it's Lydia. But like I think of the people who really showed their whole fucking drag on that show and killed every moment of it. I think of Susie and Anya, and I would feel upset if I were not to give them the top 2 positions here. So Susie and Anya are going to be the top 2 of the season, and they're going to lip sync to Abracadabra by Lady Gaga. I do think Susie could do better than Anya Nerve. I would not be shocked if that was the scenario. But regardless, I'm going to give the win to Anya Nerve here. Looking at their track records, Anya has 4 wins, 1 bottom 2. Susie has 2 wins and 1 bottom 2. And I think Anya really breaks the mold of kind of like a drag race winner with this crowning that we've seen in the recent years. Like is really like a theater queen, comedy queen, who can also make good looks. Really, really is an across the board diva who really just like is like an artist. Isn't necessarily fashion, isn't necessarily pageant, but is a performer of all performers, and I just adore her. And I really, yeah, I want her to win. That's pretty much it. I want her to win, so she's winning. It is a bit blurry because it is a major chart, but here are the track records for the season. You can peruse those if you'd like. where it says badunk, is where they got saved by the badunkadunk tank, obviously. But yeah, that is pretty much going to be it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself. Leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down below. As always, I will leave my social media handles linked down below if you want to go follow me on there. Again, thank you all so much for watching this video, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.